By now, it should be a widely accepted fact that the Republic, and more specifically the Jedi, weren't the greatest military strategists in the early stages of the war. I mean, can we blame them? They hadn't fought a large-scale conflict in centuries, and were suddenly thrust into one with minimal preparation. Nonetheless, the Jedi and the Republic were essentially forced to adopt an us or them mentality, and as a result commissioned a massive army full of 6-feet soldiers engineered to do one thing and one thing only: fight and die for the Republic. With that said, this first batch of clone troopers had one crucial mistake, that if left uncorrected, would have most certainly cost the Republic dear. Whilst the Jedi and the Republic were in the midst of producing this huge first batch of clones, they failed to consider that they'd need pilots in order to transport these soldiers onto the battlefield, as well as combat the likely Separatist and Geonosian fighter pilots that would be present. Whilst the Jedi and Republic were in the midst of producing this huge first batch of clones, they failed to consider that they'd need pilots in order to transport these soldiers onto the battlefield, as well as combat the likely Separatist and Geonosian fighter pilots that would be present. Although forgetting this crucial point, they were able to redeem themselves to an extent, and instead of training clone pilots from birth, like they did with the following generations, they decided to pick random clones and train them to become pilots and tank operators. This inevitably led to an extremely rushed training process, and as a result, many of the Phase 1 pilots weren't as skilled and proficient as some of their brethren who were born later. So aside from this initial mistake and fun fact of sorts, what was clone pilot training actually like? So, as previously stated, following that dire Republic mistake we just had a look at, clone pilots were from there on out raised from birth to perform specific tasks for the Republic. In addition to this, once graduated, due to the transition onto Phase 2 armor, pilots were able to and started heavily customizing their armor, leading us to recognize distinct pilots such as Warthog and Axe throughout the Clone Wars. Moreover, there was also another distinct set of armor that became well known thanks to the clone pilots we see in Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith. This open-style helmet, as it was informally known as, was a variant of the traditional Phase 2 armor we constantly see throughout the Clone Wars, and was primarily designed for pilots of ships that had pre-existing life support systems. Many of you may be surprised to know that this open-style helmet was extremely popular among clone pilots, and was used in practically every ship that didn't require a life support system. Now to jump back to actual clone pilot training. Although one clone could be trained to primarily fight in a V-19 for example, basic Republic training would still require him to have a good grasp of the majority of other vehicles used within the Republic Navy and even Army. This means that the clones we see flying Y-Wings and ARC-170s in the Clone Wars, although specialists in those specific crafts, were also able to pilot each other's ships and even ground vehicles such as AT-TEs if the situation was deemed dire enough. This now marks the end of our video, and my question to you is, if you were suddenly drafted into the Republic Army, what class would you want to be and which Jedi General would you want to serve under? Personally, I'd love to be a clone pilot serving under Plo Koon. What about you? As always, thanks for watching. Be sure to join the wider intergalactic community on our Instagram and Discord, and I hope to see you all in the next video.